The emergency klaxons screamed through the corridors of Deep Space Station Kepler-7, their crimson warnings painting the walls in urgent light. Captain Zexhai of the Altarian Navy pressed all four of his hands against the viewing portal, his scaled face contorting with worry as he watched the readings climb on his datapad. "Radiation levels are approaching critical mass," announced Dr. Veltar, the station's chief science officer. Her tentacles writhed nervously as she manipulated the holographic displays. "The solar flare activity from the binary star system has increased beyond all projections. We're looking at exposure levels that would kill most species within minutes." The assembled crew of various alien species murmured anxiously. Representatives from 17 different civilizations called Kepler-7 home. But they all shared one thing in common. None of them could survive what was coming. "What about the human?" asked Engineer Korth, his rocky silicate features showing genuine concern. "Marcus is still down in Reactor Bay 7, performing the manual override." A collective silence fell over the group. They all knew what that meant. "Surely he evacuated with the others," whispered Communications Officer Lysa, her crystalline form dimming with distress. Captain Zexhai shook his head gravely. "Negative. He volunteered to stay behind and complete the containment protocol manually. The automated systems failed when the first wave hit." He paused, checking his chronometer. "That was 47 minutes ago." Dr. Veltar's tentacles stopped moving entirely. 47 minutes? At those radiation levels? Even with their enhanced suits, humans can't survive more than 20 minutes of direct exposure to gamma radiation of this intensity. The truth hung heavy in the recycled air. Marcus Chen, the station's human engineer, had essentially signed his death warrant to save them all. It was tragically typical of his species, throwing themselves into impossible situations with nothing but determination and stubborn hope. "He knew," Captain Zexhai said quietly. "When he volunteered, he knew it was a one-way trip." The radiation readings continued to climb, but the containment field was holding. Whatever Marcus had done down there, it was working. The station would survive, but at the cost of one human's life. 2 hours passed. The solar flare activity began to subside, and the radiation levels slowly decreased to merely dangerous instead of instantly lethal. The crew gathered in the main observation deck, preparing to hold an informal memorial service for their lost colleague. "Marcus was," Captain Zexhai began, then stopped as his comm unit crackled to life. "Hey, Captain," came a familiar voice, slightly breathless but unmistakably alive. "This is Marcus down in Reactor Bay 7. The containment is stable and I'm ready to head back up. Fair warning, though. I'm probably glowing a bit. Nothing major, just picked up some extra photons on the way." The comm channel went silent except for the sound of collective jaws dropping. Dr. Veltar was the first to find her voice. "Marcus, that's impossible. Our readings show you've been exposed to lethal levels of gamma radiation for over 2 hours. You should be dead." A chuckle came through the speaker. "Yeah, about that. Turns out human radiation tolerance is a bit higher than your medical databases suggest." "Who knew? A bit higher?" Dr. Veltar's tentacles were practically vibrating with disbelief. "You've been exposed to enough radiation to kill a Rigelian whale." Well, I feel fine. Maybe a little warm, but nothing a cold shower won't fix." 15 minutes later, the turbolift doors opened and Marcus Chen stepped onto the observation deck. The assembled crew took an involuntary step backward, their various sensors detecting the elevated radiation signature emanating from the human. But Marcus looked fine. Better than fine, actually. His dark skin had taken on a healthy bronze glow and he was grinning from ear to ear. He raised one hand in greeting, and several crew members flinched as their personal radiation detectors began clicking frantically. "Marcus," Captain Zexhai said carefully, "how are you?" "Alive." Marcus shrugged, seemingly oblivious to the fact that he was currently emitting enough residual radiation to power a small shuttle. "Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I felt the heat when the flares hit, but it was kind of like lying on a beach back on Earth. You know that feeling when the sun's really warm on your skin? It was nice." Dr. Veltar approached cautiously, her scientific instruments extended. "This is unprecedented. Your cellular structure should be completely compromised. Instead, you're showing signs of enhanced metabolic function." "Enhanced?" Marcus looked down at himself. "I do feel pretty energized. Like I could run a marathon or bench press a shuttle." Engineer Korth's rocky features expressed something that might have been awe. You absorbed gamma radiation, and it made you stronger? Apparently so. Marcus noticed their expressions and his grin widened. What? Did you guys think a little radiation would take down a human? We've been getting bombarded by cosmic rays since we learned to walk upright. Our home star has been trying to cook us for millions of years, and we just invented sunscreen and kept going. Sunscreen, Dr. Veltar repeated weakly. Yeah, SPF 30 usually does the trick. Though I admit, this was a bit more intense than your average day at the beach. Captain Zexhai found himself laughing despite the impossibility of the situation. Marcus, you do realize that you just survived something that would have killed any other known species, correct? Marcus scratched his head, his radioactive glow pulsing slightly brighter. When you put it that way, it does sound pretty cool. He looked around at the assembled crew, all of whom were still maintaining a respectful distance from his glowing form. So, who wants to hear about how I manually rewired a fusion reactor while getting a cosmic tan? As Marcus began recounting his experience with the casual tone of someone describing their weekend gardening project, the crew of Deep Space Station Kepler-7 came to a profound realization. Humans weren't just surprisingly durable or unexpectedly resourceful. They were absolutely, completely, and utterly insane, and in the vast, dangerous universe they all shared, that insanity might just be humanity's greatest strength.